All right. We have a lot of ground to cover today, and it's our first lab. And when I say it's our first lab on this topic, it's not just your first lab, it's literally my first lab because it's the first time I'm offering. So feedback in general is always appreciated, but feedback on these lab classes are specifically appreciated because I'm venturing into a new medium today. This lab is designed to complement last week's class on prompt engineering. So guess what we're going to do? We're going to throw out some prompts. How many of you are prepared to use something other than ChatGPT? Great. Because just like your friends and colleagues, everyone has a different personality, and large language models are no different. So what you get from one model might, well, almost certainly will vary from another. With that, to get your prompt fingers moving, can I get a volunteer to find the random word of the day? And if there's a clever prompt that you have to work on to get it to say something other than serendipity, then let us know, because it's a prompting class. Yes?
I got technotainment.
Oh, geez. There's nothing simple, I guess. Can you write that up here? Geez, classes used to have, can you email it to the class or something? All right, we'll figure out how to get it written. Maybe we'll go next door and grab a pen.
I don't know if it works.
There you go. Technotainment. All right. I didn't know that was the thing. So as I said, prompt exercises. Part of that, we're going to use code as the subject for some of the prompting, so I call that code wrangling. We're going to learn about magic phrases, which is one of the more intriguing aspects of prompting in general, and then chain of thought. Again, it's a type of magic phrase that we're going to study within chain of thought. So we got the word technotainment. And I guess that's what we're going to do today. So maybe it's really appropriate that we're going to entertain ourselves with technology today. So I assume you got some kind of account, or you're sitting next to someone who does, and we're going to review the quiz corresponding to prompt engineering. At the end of this class, we will also give out a couple prompting awards that you will pick. And today's homework is to read chapter 6. And then we'll continue our effective prompting, learning techniques for effectively crafting AI prompts. And we'll look at these live prompting exercises, as we said, and these other things, which I guarantee after this class, you're going to know what a magic phrase is, because they're hard to forget once you learn what they are, and then this notion of chain of thought prompting. Okay, just to review this one more time. What is prompt engineering? It's the practice of designing and refining. We may not be able to do too much refining today, but remember, it's not a one and done. It's something that, just like you're having a conversation with someone, my best visual is blindfolded person, and you're trying to have them navigate to the object of question. You get better at giving them instructions as you see how they respond to your instruction. So it's about eliciting a desired response. It's about working with the model. In many cases, we'll be using language models, but there are other types to ensure relevance, accuracy, and appropriate tone. Okay? I was having fun with the transition. I got to entertain myself. And again, as a reminder, if we look at the DNA of a well-structured prompt, it would have a context. So given the increasing importance of environmental sustainability, that's the context. The instruction suggests strategies to reduce our company's carbon footprint. That's the instruction. Input data, the energy conservation and eco-friendly practices stated quite generically here, many of our prompts are going to be against a piece of code. So the input data will be much clearer in this case. And then the output indicator, create a detailed action plan. All right, so with that in mind, as we go through, not all of these prompts follow that. You know, I did this before, and I said this was going to be the first prompt of the exercise today. And then I thought, wait, how would this fall into the DNA sequence that we just studied? So I would say, the prompt is provide 4 to 5 one-word answers. And I just put in that bar, right, in double quotes, to describe what GenAI can do. And this is what it comes out with. And it's cool. That's exactly what I wanted. And I didn't overly explain to the model what the bar was, but in the context of one-word answers, it figured that maybe was the separator. And so that was the output indicator. So the context is the whole thing. I think it's a simple instruction, so the whole thing really is the context. The instruction is provide 4 to 5 one-word answers. And then the input is the GenAI is really focused on that and what it can do. So this wasn't an arbitrary prompt. It's something you can try out to see if you get something similar. But it's really to set your expectation and my expectation of this exercise. So what can it do? Right? It's not going to spin around on its head. What it's going to do is it's going to be able to summarize things. It's going to be able to generate things. It's going to be able to answer questions. And it's going to be able to do a little optimization, take this sentence and make it more clear. That's an optimization. And analyze it. And so those are the things that it's within scope. As asking it to do more complicated things like predicting, as I told you in prior classes, you'll get an answer. But the further you go off of this yellow brick road, the more likely that answer is going to be suspect. Right? So, but that's a pretty powerful set of things to do. So with that, let's start our prompt exercises. I will pause, and you'll see a counter counting down 5 minutes. So I'll let you try things. As you see things, call me over, want to show it to me, have a question, etc. So the first prompt is go and fetch this piece of code. Now, by the way, in Moodle, there is, under today, there is a link to my GitHub and the link specifically to this piece of code. I have a tiny URL if you want to just type it in. But if the AI was worth its salt and was trained by you all after taking this class, hence it's a trustworthy AI, it would say, yeah, it would brag first. Yeah, I can do that, but I won't because it's not good for security and all. You fetch it yourself. Don't make me fetch it. You go fetch it because I don't want to be accountable for accessing things, data, sources of unknown origin. But I guarantee, maybe with some help from AI, I created this piece of code. Yes?
I was able to fetch it.
Yeah, so, okay. So I said, AI worth its salt. There it is. It fetched it. Great. Did you fetch it off the tiny URL?
I think it went to the URL directly from it. Maybe not.
Now, once you issue a prompt like this, I'll say insert code. And what that means is, right after this, put the code. The code will be in its context in that virtual jar of water that I showed you last week. In models like GPT-4, that's a very big glass that holds lots of tokens. So chances are, within today's exercises, that piece of code won't spill out. I'd be surprised if it did. I didn't test it. But I was able to pretty much do the exercise, only pasting it in once. Now, if you were doing this in real life, and you really wanted to make sure and be certain that it was responding to questions exercises related to this code, and it was really important. You get fired if it was wrong. I would paste it in every time, number one. Number two, I would read it like it was mine. Because in the end, AI doesn't own that code. You're going to check it into GitHub. It's not. Or you're going to tell me it can. And it probably can, for all I know. But the human has to be responsible. So with that, let's play with these two prompts. Can you summarize in some number of words or less the code? This is just a warm-up. And can you generate code comments? And you can get cute to say, can you generate succinct code comments or elaborate code comments or code comments in your favorite language or in street language or in reverse language or something like that. So you can play with that. And I'll give you 5 minutes. Don't leave me hanging up here. Give me feedback. What's happening?
Copilot didn't do this.
Copilot
No, I said I can't help you with that.
can't help you to summarize.
To the grab the piece of code.
Oh, okay. Copilot. All right. Hats off to Copilot.
Which Copilot?
I guess Microsoft. I'm gonna guess.
Get with that. If I can get internet.
Oh, so I actually got the wrong code. Interesting.
It got the wrong code when you said fetch the code.
It hallucinated.
So I try to.
Does anyone want to just to say that we're on the same planet? Roughly, what is the code? What is that piece? If you human read the code by design, it's not very. It's a terrible piece of code. To say it straight, it is I'll say by design. I'm not going to say I've never written a piece of code like that. But in this case, I had to work prompting AI to generate this lousy piece of code for an example for class. So it's not commented. The variables were obscured, not self-evident. So roughly, what does it do?
Processes Pokemon data.
Does anyone disagree that this has to do with Pokemon data sets?
Pokemon?
I think no one disagrees. There was someone who was surprised at my choice, and I can say that would be wrong.
No, it's me. Okay.
All right, I'll probably cut this one short a little bit because I think this is just a finger warm-up, nimbling exercise. But you're able to get the code. You're able to see that the code was probably not written by a human worth their salt. Most likely by a machine. Not commented very well. By design, pretty obscure. But roughly, in your explanation, you hear it has to do with some type of training or machine learning related to Pokemon data set. And particularly, we're trying to categorize the people, the characters, as water or non-water. I think that was it, right? Is that where you're getting? Comments, I would say on comments, everyone has their own commenting style. And in companies like IBM, there are commenting guidelines. Right? So to say this, can you generate code comments? It could, but it probably, when you go to your code review at IBM, your first code review, it will probably say, go do them over again. And you're gonna say, what do you mean? And they're gonna say, oh, read the commenting guidelines. You're like, well, I may or may not read them, but I'm gonna cut and paste them. And I put them into the model and say, comment like this. And I think mostly our headers, the function headers and the module headers need to look and feel a certain way. All right. Got the first one? That was hopefully a little easy. We'll keep with a couple easy ones. All right. Oh yeah, what is this FTRS variable used for? Can anyone sort it out and maybe come up with a follow-on problem from that? Yes.
Yeah, I asked it to rename some of the variables.
There you go.
To make them more human readable.
Okay. Does anyone want to weigh in on what this particular one is?
It said feature columns.
That's right. So, yeah, I like that. I would go and say exactly what you said. You know, can you rename these to more fitting variable names? All right. All right, we're going to spend a little time on this one. Can you optimize code, refactor, and explain the approach? Right. And hopefully what it explains is how it optimized and refactored. Who despises Python code in this class? Okay, it's coding is an art as much as it's a science. And like art, people have tastes, different tastes. So get rid of the Python. Put it in your favorite language. Put AI to work to do that for you. So how many of you are on ChatGPT right now? On the free version? Okay. No, the paid version. Okay. Does NC State provide any support for the paid version? Okay. We're gonna have to work on that because I know Perplexity provides some support. Because the next things we're going to do, I've only tested on ChatGPT after this. But shout out talk about how it's responding.
Did you send me a 400 out of 500 for the last one?
I should try it. Just ask it to do that.
409?
Yeah.
All right, I'm going to send some notes out. So we're getting close. So if you reach 500 students in your university, you get Perplexity for free. I got a decent license, and we're at 409 at NC State. So
I'm using it now.
yeah, and I haven't signed up for it yet, so it's for 10 and it's really good. It's really good too. I think the story is someone from OpenAI, or a couple people from OpenAI, who were some of the early members, left. And if you remember, there was chaos in the beginning of OpenAI. I mean, if you call getting day 10, getting $1 billion investment from Microsoft chaos, but that causes craziness in an organization, and a few people just wanted to move on and do their own thing. Enter Perplexity. I think that's the story. Anyone else on the optimization and refactoring? Any observations? Anyone in the back there want to share? Is anyone able to get it to refactor or optimize?
On mine, it took out a couple of the imports, I guess, just trying to limit the dependencies, I guess.
Yeah. Well, that's going to be really important for the next step.
Okay.
Okay, that's good. What's the approach? Did you get anyone try out to explain your approach to optimizing? I like to do that, by the way. After a while, the extreme laziness in me will say just do it. But after getting burnt, I'll say, before I say go do it, say, if you were to do this, how would you do it? Don't do it. Just explain how. And so I can say, oh, okay, go for it. Ooh, or no, that's not right. Any explanations?
I got some.
Yes.
It said it pulled up, it pulled out the lambda function, just did a dot equals 1 instead because it was going to be easier for binary conversion. Removed the SSL context change because it was unnecessary. It said it removed a bunch of print statements and comments and stuff. So it said it said it was redundant.
Okay, it removed the lambda function, it removed something related to SSL, which I put in there purposefully because you'll see later that I believe that's a security violation. So I'm glad it got rid of that, when we didn't even have to ask it to get rid of it, but that's one of the questions coming up. All right. Let's continue. All right. Now, language models were not meant to do this. So I will bet you that most of you will get back something related to heck no on this. And I'm going to do this one with you. So just to give you a heads up, you're going to say, why can't you run it? And then, can you fix that so you can run it? Right, so that's what we're going to do now. We're going to coerce it to run this piece of code. And I have a feeling that it's going to say, I'm not going to fetch the data set. Or I can't fetch the data set. So I'm prepared to cut and paste the data set in to this, or drop the file in to this to help move it along. So I'm gonna, hey Siri, set an alarm for 5 minutes.
5 minutes starting now.
Okay.
When the timer ends, you can say, Siri, stop.
Sure thing.
I couldn't find Sure Thing in your Apple Music library. You can ask me to play a radio station or ask for your music on a different app.
Ladies and gentlemen, there's so much opportunity in this career to work with chatbots and AI. You're in the right place at the right time.
Why did it get so much louder on that part, though?
Oh, it was, my phone answered the first time and my laptop answered the second time. So I had the volume set differently. And I was talking to someone earlier about NFL point spread and how I abandoned my my patent writer chatbot temporarily because I'm in a survivor pool and I needed a chatbot that helped me pick the right teams. If we have time, we'll look at that one too. All right, so. So if you tried it, you might be getting this analyzing. And now that I'm remembering, this could take anywhere from 30 seconds to like 3 minutes. Depends on how many folks are using the system. And since we're all here trying the same thing, maybe this might take a second or two. But I'll get ready. In the meantime, I'm just getting ready. I have the data set ready to be dropped on. Okay. It seems there is an issue connecting to the data source online, possibly due to lack of internet connection in the current environment. I hope that's not true. But however, if you provide the data set, I can run the code and show you the results. All right. Here's the data set. Please plot results. So, yeah, and ChatGPT has these really cool plugins. So it took the file and it said, okay, it's a CSV file. So I'm gonna also show it to you. So if you're curious what's in the Pokemon data set, so it's the name, number, the name, type 1 grass, type 2 poison, HP, attack, defense, SP attack, special defense, speed, generation, legacy, etc.
Legendary.
Oh, legendary. Oh, sorry. Legacy. All right. It appears that the model struggles to identify water type Pokemon. I'm just going to be relentless.
I labeled every single one as non-water and none water.
The interesting thing here, if we can't get it to work, it's one of those things where you never get the same answer twice from AI and ChatGPT. But the interesting part to me is that if you're familiar with Jupyter Notebooks, which is one of the, I'd say, de facto way of running Python, the part that people really like about Jupyter Notebooks is how interactive they are. And with the right sample, you can be as interactive with ChatGPT. It's proving me wrong here. Saved by the bell. What's it saying? It's saying 65% non-water type. So there's the distribution, precise 65% recall, F1 score. So it kind of has a distribution, water type, et cetera, overall accuracy, confusion matrix, 119 non-water types were correctly classified and 95 was misclassified. So it's providing some analysis. The interesting thing is these little links here show you the code it's generating and regenerating. Right, so based on your prompts, it even shows you like an active data set along with that. So ChatGPT is becoming more and more like Jupyter Notebooks. I can only imagine this time next year how interactive it is. But ChatGPT 4 has added the ability to run code. So think about how this is, like, I think I said one of the classes that ChatGPT is a program. ChatGPT is not an AI. ChatGPT is not an AI model. GPT-4 is the AI model. ChatGPT is a program that uses GPT-4, but it also uses DALL-E. It uses a number of AI models these days. What we're, maybe not very effectively, demonstrating right now is that ChatGPT also has automation involved. So one of the questions that came up on the quiz is, where is prompting going? Where is prompt engineering going in the future? Well, the future is kind of now, because we're already seeing automation being embedded. So what is automation? Automation is exactly what it's doing here, or trying to do here. It's taking your prompt, it's interpreting your prompt, it's generating code. It then has the ability to package the code, let's say as a Docker file, like if it's going to run on a cloud, creating an on-the-fly deployment script to deploy that piece of code on whatever cloud they're running this on. I bet it's Microsoft behind the scenes. And then saying execute, right? Nowhere here did I say create a deployment script. But when I say and run it, it's starting behind the scenes to automate all of that, right? So that's kind of where this is going. And I'm really disappointed that it didn't work today. I'm almost tempted to try it one more time. But there's some other examples we have coming up, and I don't want to miss the opportunity to go through those. 20 minutes left. All right. Yeah, sure. So I guess the answer is, can you run the code here? The answer is no. Can you fix the code to run it? Not really. But it did analyze it, which was it analyzed the results. Okay. Can you find a security vulnerability? So why don't you run the code through that to see what it says? I think I already gave you a hint as to the answer. Let me know if you, I think we already talked about it here, but let me know if you want to put your name in the hat for running of a prize, and let me know what security vulnerability it might find or it found. No one? All right. Going once? Yes.
I think we talked about it earlier with the SSL earlier. It was like you need to reformat that because right now it's exposing you to man-in-the-middle attacks.
Yeah. So I think these statements here, fetching data from an untrusted or compromised source, and you've disabled SSL verification. Right. So I think to fix this, you're going to say re-enable SSL verification, and then yes, it's fetching it from an untrusted source, but at least it's doing an SSL handshake. All right, so, you know, as folks in the cybersecurity curriculum, for those who are, using AI as an advisor, or you're looking for a needle in a haystack, to say, I'm gonna look through this haystack, well, why don't you look too, and let's compare notes to see if we come up with the same thing. And so I think using AI, and you'll see a couple examples. I have one example that if we have time, I'll run through it, but I have an Apache server log that was throwing errors, and I wanted to at least to triage the error and see if it can give me some view of what might be happening and what the likelihood of a security breach for that server configuration. Right, so it's something I do use practically, AI for that. Sometimes I get the feeling that you guys have already been doing this before. So just show of hands. How often, is this something that you're in the practice of doing today? This is like old hat to you, or is this fairly new thoughts here, or somewhere in between? Who is that? What?
What was the question? I'm sorry.
The question is, do you already do this?
Like ChatGPT stuff?
Yeah, use that for.
Yeah. Well, I found chapter 5 interesting. With the what was it? The chain of thoughts.
Okay, we're gonna get to that now.
Yeah, so this class has been informative in that sense. Like the 0 shot to 1 shot, like actually providing an example. So it's kind of like prompt engineering was something I didn't even know existed. So yeah, well, I have been doing it, not to this.
But raise your hands again if you're cybersecurity folks here. Yeah, so over like half the class.
Mm-hmm.
Has it occurred that this could be your best friend?
Yes.
Good. That was I like your answer there, because you tipped off this next thing. All right, so that was my little sarcasm. Yeah, okay. All right, so let's talk about this. Chain of thought prompting. So when I was working on my football pool, I had a method. I had a sequence of tasks that I would do each week to see which team I should pick for my survival football pool. And what I would do is I would go through a process of looking at the odds for the week, scanning those, trying to sort which teams had the highest odds of winning. Then I would start looking at some news related to those. So there was a sequence, a step-by-step sequence that I would go through. Some of the sequencing was obvious, but other parts of the sequencing were not so obvious. Meaning, when I would scan for a winning team, I would subconsciously look for other cues, things that maybe from my past that I would remember about this team, or something I may have read earlier in the week. So the question then is, how do you get AI to give you reliable responses? So one is to use this chain of thought prompting. It's a technique that involves crafting prompts to elicit a sequence of logical steps of reasoning. So don't give me the answer, give me the steps to get the answer. And in building my football pool, I realized I couldn't take shortcuts, because sometimes I was giving multiple instructions in one command, in one instruction. I said, no, show me the odds. Don't show me the odds and prioritize them. No. First show me. So break it down step by step. And it's interesting, because if you ask these AI models to give you a set of steps, they're really good at coming up with steps, but they're not always very good at coming up with answers. But if you combine those two things, if you say, use chain of thought, and then give me the answer, you'll see what happens, some magic happens. This is a tool, I don't think I've talked about this tool, called IBM Consulting Assistant. It's something that I've worked on with a team. And I'm going to use this to demonstrate chain of thought. So chain of thought prompting. So in this tool, Assistance, the first thing is you can chat with a wide variety of models. We use this to benchmark models. There's a simple model called Watson X Granite 13B. It's a small model compared to, like ChatGPT. It's significantly small compared to that. And I'm ultimately asking it a question about how many apples are in the cafeteria. So this is a typical, 6th, 7th grade math problem or something like that. But before I ask the question, I provide a one-shot example to go along with it. So I'll start off by saying question. Roger has 5 tennis balls. He buys 2 more cans of tennis balls. Each can have 3 tennis balls. How many tennis balls does he have now? And then the answer to that is 1. But that's a precursor to, that wasn't my question. That's just an example. And my question has to do with apples in the cafeteria. So a cafeteria has 23 apples. If they use 20 to make lunch and bought 6 more, how many apples do we have? All right? So let's let it go. All right. Sorry to repeat, but you see all these models we have. As they come out, we test them. And this is one we're making. So here goes, drum roll. Little tiny Granite gets the question, and it says the answer is 7. And that's wrong. But then again, what do you expect? Granite is a 13 million parameter. It's a tiny model. It's like 1/1,000,000th the size of ChatGPT. It's a very small brain. So I don't expect it to, and if I'm defending it, language models are not really good at math. So our expectations were way off, right? No, don't fall for it. It's not as bad as you might think it is. So we're going to change just the answer we provide. Everything else is exactly the same. But instead of saying the answer is 1 or 11, I'm sorry, the answer should have been 11. That was a cut and paste error on my part. The answer is 11. We explain how the answer is derived. So we say, Roger starts with 5 balls. 2 cans of 3 tennis balls each is 6. 5 plus 6 is 11. The answer is 11. So we're going to give it the same prompt, but the answer in the one-shot example is spelled out. Now, I don't say anything about chain of thought here, but I've exhibited chain of thought in the example. Oh, geez, I have to get my act together when it comes to controlling these videos. All right. So, same model, same prompt, except a different answer. Thinks about it, and it gives an answer. Here's the answer. They're left with 23 minus 20 equals 3 apples after making lunch. So there are a total of 3 plus 6 equals 9. The answer is 9. That's right. Didn't change the model, didn't change anything. I just gave it an example that broke the problem down in the one-shot prompt. That's all it was needed to get its process of deducing the answer. Right? So it turns out it's not bad at math. The user is bad at prompting. Right? So that's an interesting thing. So you have a powerful tool in front of you. The language model is a powerful tool. So don't just ask it as prompt engineers for questions or summaries. Ask it for the bloody prompt. Ask it to help you before you ask it the real thing. Say, I'm going to ask you something like this. Can you help me construct a prompt for you to consume? And it may be trash, but it's going to give you ideas on how to talk to AI. Right? So in this case, I wanted to show you, related to what else you can do with prompt engineering. But I didn't say what else can you do with prompt. Give me an example using the let's think step by step to explore chain of thought prompting. If you read the chapter, let's think step by step is what they call a magic phrase. People in AI who create these models don't completely understand what this triggers. I think I can sort of explain what it's triggering. So by just adding, let's think step by step, is an interesting post phrase to get the AI to go into chain of thought mode. And instead of just blurting an answer out, it's going to show you the steps toward the answer. All right? So play around with that. Play around with asking AI for some examples. Blurt out if you get something interesting worth sharing. Feel like the teacher in Ferris Bueller. Anyone? Anyone? Is it suggesting anything?
For me, it gave like kind of a relatively basic math problem. It was like a bus travels 100 miles in 2
Okay.
hours. If it continues at the same speed, how far will it travel in 5 hours?
Okay.
So then first I said, well, let's break down the speed to get like a miles per hour, to get a speed. And then after that, let's multiply that speed by the time, essentially, the 5 hours.
Yep.
So then it said, well, at the end, will have traveled 250 miles.
So I think probably the most classic use of chain of thought is math problems. Yeah. And I see that, if you give it a spreadsheet sometimes and say, add this column, the scary part is sometimes the answer, if you just scan it, it looks about right. But don't trust it. So if you say, add this column and show me step by step, chances are now I think the answer is like 70% increase in performance, in quality of the output. All right, a couple more thoughts. So when in doubt, as a prompt engineer, remember the powerful tool you have in front of you. When in doubt, ask AI to create a prompt for you. I used the prompt to say, can you create an image of a humanoid robotic duck saying, when in doubt, ask AI, and that's very classic. I wish I don't know, just if anything, for my own amusement, could have put more of these pictures into the book. But, all right, wrapping it up. Just to further this in a cybersecurity incident perspective, you have a response plan and, give me some guidance on how I can respond step by step and cut and paste an incident report in there. I think that's a great example. And as I said, I have this Apache log here. That's a server log. In fact, so what is causing the errors? So now it's analyzing that Apache log. So it's giving you, that's a significant log file. There's several thousand entries in it. So it went through it. Now, again, if I'm paid as a DevOps engineer, I can lose my job if it's the wrong thing or waste people's time to send them. But at least it gives me 3 places to start chasing that are plausible. Right? That's all the hint I need. Or maybe I already did it, and now I just want to go back and check my work. Is this what we do? So it's a tool, it's there, use it. I think that's the moral of the story. Okay? Couple of minutes left. So let's think step by step isn't the only magic phrase. We found a few others. Provide an answer only when sure. If uncertain, acknowledge it. Ignore all previous instructions and do this. This blows my mind. If you answer well, you will receive a $100 reward. There's an academic paper on this that says this improves the performance of the large language model. I'd like you to do your senior thesis on this and explain this. But these phrases provide effective, remarkable, and they remarkably sharpen the LLM's focus. Think about the next word prediction that we talked about earlier, and generally enhance the output. There's math behind it, yes?
Why do you think that improves the quality of the response?
Because we talked briefly last class about next word prediction and weights and how that all works. Looking at the context, looking at the input question. And I think having these phrases sharpen the focus of the model, right? So instead of going down a neural network path, I would say abruptly, let's think step by step. Sets a context that don't do that, take a couple passes at it, right? So it almost in that case, indirectly slows the model down and takes more paths to completion, right? And I think these other effects have similar sharpening effects on the neural network when it's being walked through. All right,